Hello, and welcome to the Great Game Debate Podcast bonus episode. Today, I'll be your guest host, Jonah Gomez. You might be thinking, this is a little early, or bonus? That's because we're shouting out our Pax West team and introducing
Ooh,
everyone. Today, it'll just be yours truly and our regular guest or our regular panelist, Mateo. How's it going,
hello,
man?
Jonah. How's it going, bud?
It's going.
Not too bad. I just did 2,800 miles worth of driving over the past 10 days or so.
That's a lot of driving.
There's
That's
there's not a lot in the Midwest of this country. I don't know if y'all realize that. There's a whole lot of not a lot out there.
um along with Mateo, we have a couple of my local buddies that will be helping us up at Pax West. We'll start off with you, Jared. How's it going, man?
It's going good. Getting in here, ready to debate.
Yes,
Ready to have
sir.
some fun.
Oh yeah. And last but definitely not least, we have Tommy. How's it going, sir?
Yo, what's up, guys? Going great here. Excited.
Heck yeah. All right, well, hope you guys stop by the Enterprise and set your phasers to fun, because it's time for the icebreaker. And today, Mateo will be taking the icebreaker question.
Yeah, I'm filling in for our boy Caden here today.
Mhm.
We got a fun one. I think this is a very straightforward icebreaker question. Which game has the best video game soundtrack, or the best soundtrack in general? And that question is courtesy of,
Believe it
should
was
have had this ready,
Traveling
Traveling
Snowman?
Snowman.
Yeah. All right, I'll
We'll
pass
start
it.
with we'll
Yeah.
start with Jonah. Let's
Oh,
start with Jonah
start
so he
with
can show.
me.
Yes, you
Ooh.
got to show the new guys how it's done.
Okay. Well, I'm a big Zelda fan, obviously. So you would think that I would pick Zelda, but honestly, one game that I think is criminally underrated that has a fantastic soundtrack is Jet Set Radio. I love the music from
Ooh.
those games. I'm super excited for Bomb Rush Cyberpunk to come out this year. We finally got a release date on that, and it's cool because it's gonna have like some of that Neo Tokyo hip hop style, but it's also gonna have like not just rollerblading, but it's gonna have like free running, skateboarding, and BMX biking as well as rollerblading. What about you, Mateo? What are you thinking?
Ooh, man, there's a lot of options here, right? Um, FTL has an amazing
Oh, okay.
electronic
Mhm.
space soundtrack, things of that nature. But we're gonna go a little weird on this one.
Ooh.
I don't know if y'all were around it for the PS1 era or not. There was a game called Road Rash 3D. It was part of the Road Rash series, and it had a ridiculous soundtrack full of nothing but just like rock, new metal rock. It had so much of Sugar Ray on it, and it had Sugar Ray's first album in particular, which is when before they did the full on pop stuff, they did like hard rock, new metal, some kind of sound in there. There are some songs in there that just seared into my brain. Like it's just
Really?
with that game, it was perfect. It is not anything I would listen to in my everyday life if I wasn't playing that game. But for that game at that time, perfect soundtrack, 10 out of
Heck
10.
yeah. Oh yeah, dude. That's awesome. Tommy, what are you feeling?
Well, I'm glad you didn't pick Legend of Zelda, so that way I could pick Legend of Zelda. I love the new soundtrack in Tears of the Kingdom, specifically just for that saxophone rip. Like,
Oh
I
yeah.
used to play saxophone back in the day, and so I just loved hearing that. It's actually, I hear it a lot more common in a lot of current Nintendo games. Like, I think Super Mario Odyssey had
Mhm.
some of that. The original Breath of the Wild had some of that too. But you can definitely hear that vivid saxophone just playing in the background, and I love it. It's
Dude,
fantastic.
the sax in
Mhm.
Mario Kart is insane. It's so good.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Jared, where's your music taste taking you
Well,
on
I
this
got
free
a
game
I got a bit
journey?
of a newer game.
Ooh.
It's definitely coming and smashed all the other soundtracks for sure. And it's Sonic Frontiers.
Oh,
Oh
let's
man.
go.
There you
It's
go.
got just nice little piano pieces in it. It's got the old school butt rock, and then it goes into crazy metal songs for all the boss fights. They just
Oh yeah.
updated. You got a jukebox to play all the old stuff on it too. It's been great. It's
Dude,
such a fun soundtrack.
that is such a good pick. Yeah, one of those boss fight songs was one of my top songs from last year. Like just like listen to it on my Spotify. It just goes through on one of my metalcore playlists, and it's so
Yeah.
good, dude.
Am I missing out?
We drive around listening to Sonic for sure.
Am I missing out? Do I need to go and play Sonic Frontiers just for the soundtrack?
Oh,
Yes,
it's good.
yes.
Only for the soundtrack.
Only for the soundtrack. All right. Well, with the ice broken, we'll go into just a little bit of a interview and like get to know you guys and whatnot. As you guys are now part of the GGD team. Uh, Jared, like, let's just get a little bit of your backstory with like gaming as a whole. Like, what kind of games are you into, and what do you
I'm
frequently
get
play?
I started playing a long time ago. The Sega Genesis,
Okay.
way back. Yeah, and
Nice.
first couple of games were like Sonic, the original Mortal Kombat, and all that, and just loved it. Fell in love with it, and just never really stopped playing games. Now I'll play just about anything,
Oh yeah.
and fighting games especially. I've been all day today playing the new Street Fighter. That's just been my life now. It's just grinding out in ranked matches.
Hell yeah. And Tommy, what about you, man?
Yeah. Well, back in the day, when I was a kid, I started off on my dad's old Super Nintendo that he kept from when he was in college, and that was pretty much what I played for the longest time. He had like Super Mario. Um, he had like Duck Hunt, the old Star Wars games that were on
Oh, okay.
there. And
Mhm.
so that was I pretty much then fell in love with like Nintendo. So then I got like the GameCube when that came out and played like through Legend of Zelda, played through all the different Mario games on there. Then got the Wii, and then from there I sort of after that I shifted more into PC gaming, and so I really got into those strategy games. I sort of fell in love with those, and so like the Age of Empires. My buddy and we actually used to sneak it in on a flash drive into school and play that on the school computers.
Nice.
So we had Age of Empires that I played a ton of, and then moved into Civilization, which has rapidly become one of my favorite strategy games.
Heck yeah. And I guess because you guys are going to be like our film crew, Tommy, we'll just get
Yeah.
started with you. What's your like
Mhm.
film background and stuff?
Yeah, so I went to school and studied content creation, digital marketing, stuff like that. And I did some video production. That's what I was most passionate about. And I have sort of do side business freelance work for videography, where I do a lot of like weddings, I do photo shoots, and then I've also done quite a few like corporate videos as well. So I've done like training videos, a couple promotionals, some like advertising, so a lot of stuff like that.
Holy crap. Okay, well, I did not realize that Tommy was so overqualified for
Oops, sorry.
Well, no, it's all
I
good, dude. That's
I
awesome.
can't wait. I can't wait to have Tommy do our great game debate corporate HR videos. Like our HR training, it's going to be so good.
Yeah.
And Jared, what's your like video background?
Well, you're going to soon find out why Tommy's going to be in charge of all this. I did. I've just done. I did 4 years in high school video production. It was one of the only classes that I actually paid attention to and enjoyed doing. So,
AV Club
But,
forever,
go.
dude.
Right?
Hey, you know what? You got to start somewhere, right?
right, that's right. Just a little bit of editing, a little bit of shooting videos. Just know enough to get my feet wet.
There we go.
There you go.
There we go. You're gonna have fresh blood, Tommy, Treat him
Hooray.
nicely. And then with that, we'll move on to our debate. Welcome back to the debate. We have a strategy game debate today with Tommy representing Civilization versus Jared representing Total War. And this will be on all of the games. So you could do Total War
Ooh.
Warhammer if you wanted, or Civ 1 through, what are they on? 6? 7?
6 now.
6? Okay.
7's coming out soon.
7's coming out soon.
Can't wait.
So, Tommy, behind the
Yeah.
scenes, you have decided that you would like to start. You have 2 minutes on the clock, sir. 3, 2, 1, debate.
Excellent. Well, I picked Civ 6, Civilization in general. Civ 6 is the current game that's out. I picked that mainly because out of all the strategy games, I think this one I've picked sort of as my number one favorite. As outside of video gaming, I'm really big in board gaming as well. And I feel like this is the most board game-like strategy game that you can get. The Civilization franchise has been going since like the 90s, and they've had a lot of offshoots. They've got, of course, Civ 1 through 6 is their like main core series, but they've done like Civ in Space. They've done Civ mobile games. They even have Civilization board games that you can play. They fully turned it into a board game. And I think what the biggest appeal is for me is when I was sort of going time strategy into this turn-based strategy, I found Civ to be a lot easier to move into. They sort of had the system more polished and refined. And in my opinion, Civ is a game that you can easily learn and just play mindlessly. Or conversely, you can challenge yourself and make it an actual difficult,
30 seconds.
Challenging game. So, the Civ franchise, another aspect is just the history. As a little bit of a history nerd, I love the opportunity to play as real historical characters and just play through in different environments. And I think the other largest factor is the replayability of Civ. Is just the fact that it randomizes the maps. You have a lot of customization, especially in the current Civ, and you just every game is going to be a new adventure.
Very nice. Tommy, you were worried about having a solid opening statement, and it was great, man. You killed it, dude. That was great.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right, Jared. You got 2 minutes on the clock, sir. Ready?
All right.
Set, debate.
So, I chose Total War, the whole series, as the strategy game that I wanted to represent, because I don't think there is a strategy game out there that is more involved than this. At least not a mainstream one. You have to do city management. You have to do army building. You have to, do your alliances, trade routes, and everything along with that. Anytime you get into a fight, it then becomes an RTS on top of that. And so there's so many layers to this game where it definitely can be intimidating to learn, but I don't think there's going to be a more involved game in the strategy games once you get into these. And then just to go off, they've been around since 2000, I think was the first one. I didn't start playing until Shogun 2, but that's one of the great things about the Total War is, do you want to do a war in Japan, in feudal Japan? They have that. Do you want to do China during the Three Kingdoms? They got that. They have Total War Rome. They've got Napoleon, so you can do France. And then completely adjacent to all that, if you're into dragons and magic, there's 3 games in the Warhammer series as well. And those have just gotten bigger and bigger in the scope. With this last one coming out, they have this new feature called Immortal Empires, which combines the map of all 3 of the Warhammer games in one giant one. You can just literally never stop playing the game. And what's great too is if you want to play online and you don't want to just deal with all of the grand strategy aspects
30
of it,
seconds.
you can just run those RTS battles over and over against people online, completely deck out the armies, play with, I believe up to like 16 people
Oh wow.
in one just giant thing you keep revisiting month after month. So it's such a great game. All of them.
All right. You leaving it there?
I'll leave it there.
All right. Leaving 10 seconds on the table. Tommy, let's move on into round 2, the rebuttal phase. You got 2
Okay.
minutes on the clock. 3, 2, 1, debate.
So I'm not saying that Warhammer and or Total War in total isn't a great strategy game. I think the reason why I would pick Civ over Total War is, like you said at the beginning, is because of the scale and the massiveness of it. Like not to be shied away from complex strategy games, I think I enjoy the simplicity of Civ more, because that's something you can do. Like for me, when I was in school, something I could do while I was working on homework. I could take a turn, work on some questions, take a turn, and it's a lot more mindless, but still that complex strategy aspect. And it does. I do appreciate how Total War has a lot more like finality. Like they have a lot more like specific options for you. But where I think Civ sort of surpasses that is the customization. Is that, hey, do you want to be ancient Egypt, but be in like northern Canada and fly like giant military planes against Germany, who only has barbarians? Like that's there in Civ. There's the randomness aspect to it, and there's a lot more control over that. And then also just the fact that it stands alone as a simple, it's just turn-based strategy, or just turn-based. It's not a hybrid of turn-based and real-time strategy. I think that's why I guess just the simplicity of Civ is where I want to just end off my rebuttal. It's a nice, simple strategy game.
All right. Leaving 15 seconds on the table. Very nice. Jared, you've got 2 minutes on the clock, sir. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good.
All right. 3, 2, 1, debate.
Yeah, so I want to be clear before I say this too. I have hundreds of hours in Civilization. I love Civilization. It's a really fun game. But when it comes to strategy games, it definitely is, like you're saying, it's the more simplistic of the two, for sure. And if you're looking for like a super in-depth, like suck away your life game, it's gonna be Total War. You have to dedicate a large amount of time to play it. You have to learn a lot of different things to manage and all of that. But one of the big things that I love about Total War over Civilization is that each Total War game brings its own unique mechanics into there. Whereas Civ 5 to Civ 6, there's not a whole lot of difference between the two. But with, let's say, Total War Rome 2, it had a bunch of new systems that it added in for that one, and then it goes to I believe it's called Three Kingdoms, which is the one in China. Then it completely changes everything. Your heroes can now kill hundreds of people at once. They go to fight other heroes. People will form giant circles around them and while they fight, and no one else will fight them. And it's all based around you strengthening these people up. Then you go to Total War Attila. You have the giant horde armies. You don't even make settlements anymore. You're running around managing food, raiding other people, salting the land so they can't bring cities back up. Every game innovates and changes in some ways. And sometimes it's bad. Sometimes they're not as good as the other ones. But I love the games taking risks and trying new things every single iteration of them. It always keeps it fresh and, a new thing to learn and master. Now I'll leave it there.
All right. Jared also leaving 15 seconds on the table. Man,
this is a speed debate.
This is a speed debate.
All about speed.
Talk about speed bonus episode.
Where's the little clocker?
All right, let's go into round 3, our final round. Tommy, you've got 2 minutes on the clock to close things out. 3, 2, 1, debate.
Okay. Well, in closure, I have a slight rebuttal, and then I'll just make some final remarks. I do think that Civ has definitely made they've tried to do some like diversification or some trying new mechanics and things like that. It's just not as seen as like you would have seen in like a Total War game. You have Civ, like Civ 6 and Civ 5 are actually fairly different games. Like the fact that you have districts now in Civ 6, so you outsource a lot of different resource generation to tiles instead of just in building buildings in the main cities. I think is fairly revolutionary. That's what sort of drew me to Civ 6, even though initially Civ 6 sort of put me off a little bit. But the Total War is just like, I guess it's just from an outsider's perspective. I haven't played a lot of Total War. I do enjoy it when I do play it. I do like some of the mods that they have for Total War. But they a lot of the systems do look similar. Like from the outside, you do see a very similar interface for all the Total War games. You've got like all the little banners that have your units, your groupings or whatever, and then you go into combat in cities and you pull up the sort of like the breakdown of the battle. It looks fairly similar. And that might just be because of all the information that's present. I can't tell what the differences are between that in Warhammer versus Total War Empire
30
or
seconds.
Total War Three Kingdoms. So I guess just the finishing remarks is I do love a Total War game as a very complex if you want to challenge yourself and do a lot of city management, RTS, and turn-based strategy. But Civ is still going to be my number one go-to if I want to just play, de-stress, or just sort of have a good time with a strategy game.
Very nice. Leaving 5 seconds on the table. All right, Jared. Let's close this thing out, baby. You got 2 minutes on the clock. 3, 2, 1, debate.
Yeah, so, yeah, like you said, in closing, it's a little bit of a rebuttal, I guess, as well. But with Total War, you have, it's the big grand strategy, big, war opera. And you can just lose yourself in it for hundreds and hundreds of hours, even on one campaign. You load in, even with a buddy, there's great co-op play in it, But I would say with... in regards to like Civ compared to Total War, the strategy just is not nearly as in depth. It's just not. It's more like if I'm gonna play Civ, especially if I'm gonna play Civ with friends, I'll just play Settlers of Catan. It's pretty similar. Like you got your tiles, you build the roads, all that. But with Warhammer 3 especially, the newest one, it's just they've only gotten better and better with each of their games. And this latest one just really shows it, from the animations to the soundtracks to all the new things they've been implementing into the game. You can go from playing, a big flying demon guy to another Chinese adjacent people that can turn into dragons and fly around the map. And there's just so much to keep track of and so much to learn. And yeah, as far as strategy, you have to implement strategies. You have to stick to them. You have to really, really dedicate yourself to this game series, which is why I love it so much. There's no like jump in or not. It's you're playing the game or you're not going to be playing the game, which is fair. I could see that being a turnoff to some people, but I guarantee you won't be disappointed if you put the time in. It's such an amazing series.
All right, leaving 15 seconds on the table. That's our debate. Mateo, as our sit-in, as our judge. Let me hear your thoughts. What are you feeling?
Ooh, so I've got to dock points from both of these games because they are not Crusader Kings. So we'll start there. Fortunately, since it's both of them, they both lose the points. They're still at the same score.
Yeah.
I really like the idea of Total War. I really enjoy the way that Jared has presented this game. Because I've found them very intimidating to get into, but they sound amazing and awesome. It's also wild to me that Civilization, a game that makes me feel like a smooth-brained dummy boy, is the simple version of these games because I am so bad at it. I might have to give it to Civ, but it's mostly because I haven't played Total War. I might have to give it to Civ just because I do have a lot of positive memories of co-op gaming in Civ with buddies. It is a good, relaxed game that you can just crack. You can do a few rounds, you can do a few turns, and then stop, and then you can pick it up the next day. Or if you're with buddies, you can just chill and talk and just play some Civ and be terrible at it. But I think I've got to go Civ on this one. I think that might be where my vote is. But I am totally down for us to install and play some Total War at some point because that
Alright.
sounds rad.
Oh yeah.
So I have to agree with you. I have very little RTS experience just in general, and me being as the smooth brain individual that I am, I was leaning more towards Civilization, but with how epic Jared has told me that Total War sounds, I'm gonna give him my point. Just feeling like that epic battle, you get to like him talking about the Three Kingdoms, especially seeing how like you'll have the armies charging with the hero unit, and then the hero units clash, and then they make a circle, and then they're watching the two heroes fight. That sounds epic to me.
Sounds
So,
rad, dude.
I think I'm gonna give my point to Jared just because of that alone. That sounds really sick.
This was a tough one.
Yeah.
Like I said, like these are some strategy games for real strategy gamers. Like I dig it. I'm so happy about this debate.
I think the most RTS I've gotten has been like Overlord or Pikmin. So this is very much out of my wheelhouse. But yeah, good job today, guys. You guys freaking killed it.
Solid.
Um,
I'm
with-
curious to see what the community will vote on
Yeah.
this one.
Yeah.
And if you guys want to vote, you can vote on the Cast Your Votes channel. And speaking of the Cast Your Votes channel, let's go into our last week's debate, which was open world games versus tight sandbox games. Winning by a whopping 8 points was tight sandboxes. Congratulations, WoW. Absolutely killed it. And with that, we'll close out the show because it is just our short little bonus episode. Mateo, do you have any final thoughts or anything that you'd like to shout out or plug?
I do. I actually have I've got a question for the team.
Okay.
This was a question that was gonna go on the One Up podcast, but I didn't record with them because I got in late and I was exhausted. I've got a question for the group though.
Okay.
Have y'all ever had a dream where you use your cell phone?
Whoa.
Because
Whoa.
I don't think I have, and I wonder if it's
Yeah.
a generational thing where that just
Oh.
does not happen in my dreams.
Yeah, I can't say I've ever had one.
Oh, you know what? I did. And it was like
Oh.
last night. It was weird, dude. Okay. Okay, hear me out. So I had a dream. This is a weird dream. Wow, this is so wild that this is brought up. I had a dream last night that I ended up needing to make a phone call for whatever reason. And so when I answered the phone, it was like I got pulled out of the Matrix or something, because what happened was I was standing over my sleeping body watching myself.
Whoa.
Yeah, dude.
It's
Oh,
an out of body experience.
yeah,
man.
my wife's like, "Did you die last night? Did you die and then just come back? Like, what happened?" So yeah, I had a cell phone dream. Jesus, this is weird.
Wow.
That's wild.
What a good
Wow.
question, Mateo. Tommy, do you have anything going on or anything to plug or just anything you want to shout out?
Nah, I'm just super excited for PAX right now.
Mhm.
Like, I can't wait to experience this. Is my first time going to PAX, so I'm just super excited to sort of see what this big gaming convention looks like, and hopefully get to see some cool demos, see cool developers out there, and just sort of experience all the different sites.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. And Jared, you got anything going on? Anything you'd like to plug?
Same as Tommy, waiting for PAX. Got my fingers
Mhm.
crossed for that little Nintendo thing that got signed up for.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
So we'll see how that goes. But no,
Oh, yeah.
after this is over, I'm hopping right back on PS5 and playing more Street Fighter.
Heck yeah.
Nice.
Nice.
Just a couple housekeeping things before we close things out. Our regular show is going to be delayed a little bit because of our E3 or Summer Games Fest thing that's going on. We're delaying it a week out to get our full impressions of all the showcases and all the news and stuff, and then we'll be doing an episode, probably just covering some of that stuff. Again, we have our Patreon, and I'd like to give a shout out to our 2 patrons with our at our shout out tier, which are Dan and Pucho. Thank you, Pucho.
Woo! I know that guy.
And yeah, you can follow us on Twitter at The Great Game Debate, GreatGamedeb, and then the number 8. All of these links will be in our description on our link tree, and there will also be a link there for our Discord as well, so you can vote for this very debate that we had today. And I've been your host, Jonah Gomez, and as always, happy gaming. Bye!
Bye.
As always, a big thank you to our friend Misdriven for the music in our podcast. If you like what you hear and you want to check out more of what they have, you can pay them a visit on Twitter at MIST_RIVEN719 or on Bandcamp at Misdriven. Thanks again for tuning in. Till next time.